Now on BBC Two, Newsnight.
Chairman Hua on the way out of China's leadership. Vice Chairman Deng, Hu Yaobang and Premier Zhao. Are they the masters now? Good evening.
Now, on BBC Two, Newsnight.
To change course now would be fatal to the whole counter-inflation strategy.
The Chancellor stays on the monetarist road. It leads to disaster, says Michael Foot.
Abandon hope, all ye who enter here. That is the inscription to be written above the monetarist inferno in which they still believe on that side of the house.
Good evening.
You're watching BBC Two. And now, Newsnight.
Good evening.
Now on BBC Two, Newsnight with Donald McCormick and Linda Alexander.
Good evening. A serious political crisis gathers in Zimbabwe.
And now on to Newsnight.
Superpower brinkmanship continues. As East faces West across the table, what chance now for a second summit?
Good evening.
And The Late Show follows Newsnight, now on BBC Two, with Jeremy Paxman.
First visit by a British Defence Secretary to Moscow since Joseph Stalin was an ally. As the post-war old alliances begin to crumble, what future is there for NATO? Good evening.
This is BBC Two, now Newsnight.
What's the lady up to? Margaret Thatcher accuses John Major. On homeowners, on Europe, on tax. You've sold out the voters.
They are saying to us, let's get the message. You've not been conservative enough.
Good evening. It was an extraordinarily blunt and fiery critique of her successor's record at number 10.
Me Paxman.
3 days and the jury's still unable to decide. Yet the parents of her alleged victim condemn her on nationwide television. Is this justice?
Good evening. The jury in the Louise Woodward murder trial still haven't made up their mind.
A massive, unexpected attack on America. Thousands may be dead in what's being called the second Pearl Harbor. Tonight, the United States and the world are in shock. Good evening. The world has never before seen terrorism on the scale America experienced today.
Newsnight now on BBC Two with Kirsty Walk.
Tonight, why has the Westminster government failed to act to save thousands of lives, allowing the twin killers, smoking and salt to roam free? Today, Ireland boasted falling cigarette sales after banning smoking in public places. Tonight, Scotland's First Minister tells us he's considering the same for Scotland, the lung cancer capital of Europe. And will the government really call time on the stream of salt pouring into our food? Newsnight has learned that despite tough talk, the government has not held the food industry to its deadline on salt reduction. Also tonight, what will a Milburn manifesto for the general election look like? And will Gordon Brown sign up to it?
I concluded that genocide has been committed in Darfur.
And America pronounces on Darfur. But what is the US and the UK going to do about it now? Good evening. Newsnight talks to a man whose 3 sons are under arrest. Did they really plan to commit murder on an unimaginable scale? Tonight, a student leader, an expectant father, 3 converts to Islam and 18 others still in custody but none yet charged. One person was released without charge tonight. All but one of the rest can now be detained until next week. Could this man, arrested in Pakistan, be the mastermind? We reveal links between him and the Birmingham arrests. Anger and confusion at Friday prayers in the communities of the arrested.
I can clearly see that there'll be large numbers of Muslims coming out in the streets. Numbers that we may never have seen before.
Cancellations and delays continue. The Transport Secretary tells us the critical alert could remain indefinitely. But remember Forest Gate and the innocent Brazilian. Do people trust the intelligence or the government? We'll be asking Andrew Gilligan. And a month on from the start of the war in Lebanon, we reflect on Beirut's lost summer. Good evening to viewers here and joining us live from across the Atlantic.
Shifting the political landscape, but are the boundary changes a stitch-up? Tonight, an exclusive study for Newsnight shows who stands to benefit from changes to the electoral system. The surprising conclusion, the Lib Dems may have the most to lose. Michael Crick will be reporting on the impact of the boundary changes in different parts of the country.
Merseyside is one of the places where the number of seats will be cut. It's blatant gerrymandering, says Labour, a naked effort by the Tories to boost the number of their MPs.
We'll be looking at how the plans affect all 3 main parties, and we'll debate with Labour's Tessa Jowell and the Lib Dems' Simon Hughes. After an escalation of potentially lethal attacks in Northern Ireland, we ask if secret talks are underway between dissident Republicans and the government.
Most people were as sickened as I was by the sight of these spongers descending like locusts, demanding benefits with menaces. We are not in the business of subsidising scroungers.
Remember that? Well, almost 20 years on, the benefit scrounger seems back in fashion. The PM appears to endorse The Sun's latest campaign. The paper's managing editor is here to discuss why the scrounger has become public enemy number 1. Hello, good evening. An independent study for Newsnight suggests that the Liberal Democrats could be the party to suffer most under boundary changes proposed for the next general election. Supreme Court judge, American liberal hope, and now icon of popular culture. We have an extraordinary, rare interview with Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the future of America.
The true symbol of the United States is not the bald eagle, it is the pendulum. And when the pendulum swings too far in one direction, it will go back.
Also tonight, as the polls close in two critical by-elections, we're live at both counts with a political ear to the ground. As the US Secretary of State meets his Mexican counterpart, we're in the border town of Nogales, where they've had a security wall for decades. Has it worked?
It's a phenomenon that's not going to stop. No wall, no matter how beautiful and how big or how expensive, is going to stop people that are desperate, people that are needy, and people that are poor.
And when you're sick of minding your language.
You're not free to express your opinion, because you're a racist, you're a bigot, you're homophobic, or depending on whatever the topic is, you're no longer allowed to have an opinion.
Has the rise of political correctness unleashed the populist wave? Hello, good evening. Any political storm that's happening?
This is BBC Two. It's now time for Newsnight with Emily Maitlis.
A government that today lost its majority has now lost control of Parliament. An election looms. What happens now? Good evening. There is no script, there is no precedent. As we come on air, the government has lost both its majority and its control of Parliament.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face. Tell me that you